What's good, YouTube? So I brought out a BM Hunter guide. It's going pretty good. A lot of people seem to find it helpful, so check that out. It's on my channel if you haven't already. And BM, very dominant spec. Probably the go-to for anyone that just wants to grab an easy spec for a hunter. It's going to do a lot of damage and play it. The problem is, I honestly find it very bland. I'm not sure if it's going to change when Legion drops, in three weeks or so. When we get our extra abilities, I have to study that a bit more. But marksmanship hunters are actually fun. And I've actually found out, last night I studied for 2 hours, went through all these different abilities and found out the best setup, which we'll go through in a minute and I'll explain why and what's going on. And I've also found out a really good PvE AoE build, which is insane. I did not expect that from Marksmanship Hunter, so I'll cover that in another video. But for now, we're going to quickly run through the spellbook for the new editions. So a lot of people know the old stuff. We're going to, just quickly go through it because people spend too much time in this, I honestly say. Like when I watch other guides, this kind of bores me. But yeah, quickly. Aspect of Cheetah, 1 button, you get a big speed boost, 3-minute cooldown. Aspect of the Turtle, 1 button. We're going to use it now so I can show you. So it blocks for 8 seconds, deflects all attacks, and if you had like a dot on you or something, it reduces all damage by 30%. So there's that one, your aspects there. Black Arrow is now standard. Bursting Shot. So to summarize this quickly, it's a cone, short range, disorientate. So even more simplified, it is like a warrior's shockwave, but also like a hunter's scattershot. It's a scattershot shockwave, if that makes sense. So a run up, it's short range, like I said, you press it, bang, it disorientated all those 3 dummies right there because they're in a cone. I'm pretty sure hit all of them anyway. So that's pretty cool. You can hit 2 enemies pretty easy with that, and 30-second cooldown. Pretty low focus cost. The rest, standard. Exhilaration now, we just have with our Turtle and our Exhilaration. That's the only defensive cooldowns we have. So if you've used both of them in Arena, you're in trouble, pretty much. They're going to set up and try and kill you. Heals 50% of maximum health, 2-minute cooldown. So a massive heal, 1 button. No focus cost at all, but 2-minute cooldown. So in Arena, you only really, that's going to be a hold on to it until you're really in trouble. And even more so with Aspect of the Turtle, because that's a 3-minute cooldown, and after that, it lasts 8 seconds, but after that, man, you're in some deep trouble. Then we have Mark Shot. You can only proc it if... So Arcane, so it's proccing now, right? So if I hit it again, it's going to get Hunter's Mark on them, and now that lets me hit Mark Shot. When I hit Mark Shot, it's going to put Vulnerability on them, and that's going to increase Aim Shot and Mark Shot damage by 25%. So that might have sounded complex, but it's really not. We'll cover that soon. And other than that, Piercing Shot's an ability we spec into. True Shot's for us to do more pressure, so it just increases haste and causes the Arcane Shot to always apply Hunter's Mark, so a bit of extra damage there. And that is going to finish it. There we go. That's the abilities. Now we're going to talk about what we're going to spec into. So, just looking at what I've got here, this is what I found to be the best setup for an Hunter in an Arena condition. So, Lone Wolf helps with damage, increased by 18%, but you cannot have a pet. Now you'd think damage-wise this isn't that bad because your pet does nothing crazy, except it is very important that we have a pet and use Cunning because we can still get Raw of Sacrifice, and it doesn't state it there under the the ability description, but it stops you from being critically hit. Okay, so when you use it, you can use it on yourself or your teammates. So say if an arms warrior is bursting with Avatar, and you can imagine the critical hits they can hit, it's mental. You need to pop that on someone. Very important that you have that in Arena. to stop damage coming in, stops being critically hit, so that's major. So you need a pet, which means we only can choose from steady focus. Using arcane shot or multi-shot 3 times in a row increases your focus regen by 25%. But as you'll find when we talk about the rotation, you're not really going to have a problem with focus being focus starved. So careful aim is pretty nice here. When you hit arcane shot or mark shot, you have a 20% increased critical strike chance against targets above 80% health, and those critical strikes deal an additional 30% damage over 8 seconds. As passive, sounds confusing. It's just if you do like a crit on them, it's going to do more damage, a bit of extra damage. So that's pretty much how to simplify that one. Now here, this is one of the things I tested: lock and load and black arrow. Black arrow is on a 13-second cooldown. Only does about 24k damage. Except like lock and load, 8% chance to trigger, and aim shots isn't that good, and we'll talk about that soon, about why that is. So lock and load, very unpredictable. Sometimes in arenas, man, like it only procs like 1 time, so you get two free aim shots off. So just black arrow can put it on them when they run behind a wall or something, they're trying to line of sight you, you're still ticking away the damage. So I suggest going for black arrow. True aim increases the shots by 2%, stacking up to 8 times. So you could do 16% damage just on your arcane shot, but most of your damage is not going to come from arcane shot. As you can see, only 5.6k damage. So black arrow is what you should go for there. Now this one's up to you. Fast Strider's pretty cool actually, because your critical strikes have a 10% chance to reset the remaining cooldown disengage. So you can disengage and have like black arrow and ticking, and so look, all of a sudden critical strike right there. That critical strike again right there. All of a sudden, those start adding up. Critical strike 3, so we got 4. All of a sudden, it's very easy for this to tick, and you just get a free disengage again. So that's pretty cool. You could go for that if you wanted to. Dash really not that good, just extends the aspect of the cheater by 3 seconds. So mine is just post haste, because it frees you from movement pairing effects and you get a really nice movement speed increase. So you're going to use this to get away from a melee that's on you, or if you're getting held still or something, you know what I mean? So Fast Rider isn't quite as good, I don't think, in an arena standpoint, and it's not that big of a cooldown, 20-second cooldown. So if you use it effectively, you use it enough, you get it enough. Now for this next one, Sentinel, good for AoE, and that's going to be in our PvE build coming up soon, but that's not about this video. The ones I had to test here last night, and this is one of the tiers that I really had to test for 2 hours, and so many different setups, was between Patient Sniper and Explosive Shot. Now Explosive Shot is a really cool new ability, I think, because it adds skill to the play. So you need to hit it and then hit it again to explode it. The closer it is to them, the more damage it's gonna do. So I think that's awesome. And Patient Sniper on the other hand is a passive, but when you put that vulnerability on them, like look, procs this, procs mark shot, you hit mark shot, it puts vulnerability. So that can stack as a standard. But if you spec into Patient Sniper, it just flat increases your mark shot and aim shot damage by 150%, but only lasts 6 seconds and doesn't stack. So that just gives you a short window where you need to get aim shot or mark shots off, which testing wasn't as much damage output as you can link with arcane shot, because we'll set up, I'll show you soon, the one shot, I guess you'll call it, capability of an MM Hunter. Next tier, Binding Shot if you want to stun. Wyvern, standard as usual in the last expansion. A range 1.2 cast, really nice CC, but we're going to learn how to use Binding Shot here, because 1, it's going to help you land kills, and 2, when you get honor talents, you're going to get Freezing Arrow here, and that is incapacitate, whereas Wyvern Sting here is asleep. So I can't exactly remember if those two DR, but you're going to be able to run a stun here as well as an incapacitate. So my choice here, binding. Feel free to go wyvern for now, especially in arena. I do actually change to that a lot if I just want to CC someone. Next one, I tested volley. Pretty good for AoE, not good for arena. But I did test between barrage and murder of crows a lot. Murder of crows 1 minute cooldown. Okay, this is the killer bit. 1 minute cooldown, hits 100k damage over 15 seconds, but 1 minute cooldown. Barrage hits 62k damage over 2.6 seconds, 20-second cooldown. So all of a sudden, you can get 2, nearly 3 off by the time Murder Crow is good to use again. So the barrage output for damage is just too good, and you can do some AoE to it as well. So go with that choice right there. And this last one, I tested a lot between piercing shot and sidewinders. Sidewinders is actually pretty good, but again, mental PvE AoE setup. Piercing shot, man, the damage of this thing, one press of a button, is really, really nice. But notice here, 20 to 100 focus. So it does damage depending on how much focus you have when you hit it. So you always want to be using it when you have at least 100 focus plus. As you can see here, we have 150 or 120 actually. Only 150 expecting the patient sniper. So pretty much full bar. If that's full, you can use piercing shot. Also does damage from people in between you. So if you could line up, you're trying to hit him and someone else in front of you, and then you go bang and you hit both of them with piercing shot. It's going to be just a bit of extra awesomeness, I guess. But yeah, you're going to use that in your setup to try and kill or as an open, and that is going to lead us into our rotation of how to play this class. So kind of like the Feral Druid, I did do a guide on that as well, so check that out if you haven't before. But even more so than the Feral Druid, MM Hunters are situational. I don't like using that word because everyone's like, well, every class is situational depending on how you want to use stuff and when. Obviously it's arena. You're not always going to be able to stand there and just do a perfect rotation. But what I mean by that is your explosive shot is on 30-second cooldown. Your piercing shot is on 30-second cooldown. So they're going to be up at the same time, and you can pair them together to do some really nice damage. Barrage, on the other hand, 20-second cooldown. Black Arrow is just your dot, and it's up every 13 seconds. And your filler for in between them, if you don't have any of those to use, is literally prioritized mark shot if it's up, which, like I showed you, has to have procs, or just arcane. So literally, if you've got nothing to do, this is what you're doing as an MM Hunter. See, the arcane's procced, arcane, mark shot. Black Arrow's up, so hit that. Arcane, arcane, arcane. I can use barrage when I want. But pretty much, I like to save piercing shot or explosive shot for when you're trying to line those kills up, or if you want to get early pressure off. But to make it simple for you, we'll talk about it from a BG standpoint, the average player, okay? So if you want to prioritize just pure damage, this is how it goes. Piercing shot, open up on someone if you just want pure damage, because bang, 100k damage. Followed up, the next big damage dealer is going to be barrage. We're talking about single target here. And then mark shot's going to be your next priority if it's procced, followed by Black Arrow and Arcane. So that's purely going off damage, but because like Black Arrow is a dot, I like to get that up early because you just put it up and it just does its thing. It just keeps going. So that's that. But if you want to go for kills, you can do this every 30 seconds, not incorporating the fact that True Shot or your Racial could be on cooldown, but just purely off the cooldown of Piercing Shot and Explosive Shot, which is a 30-second cooldown. Let's talk about how you can land kills. Okay, so you come into Arena, you've got Explosive Shot up, you've got Piercing Shot up, your other mate's got cooldowns and CC ready, and it's like, alright, let's go for the kill. So you're going to run towards them, you're going to hit, or run through it slowly for you, you're going to hit Piercing Shot, bang, does a heap of damage. Then you're going to follow up with Bursting Shot here, because it disorientates them. And you want to disorientate them and hold them still, so you can safely and not wastefully use Explosive Shot, because it's going to be very hard to land if they're moving. They're going to see you running at them, or see it coming and try and dodge it, and you want it to literally be on them when it explodes. So for that, we're going to come up piercing shot, bursting shot, into a binding. So they're disorientated and you can easily put a binding around them, and that means they can't run from their explosive shot. Then we're going to hit barrage as soon as that's up. You probably get an arcane in there actually, because you'll be focus starved at this point, because piercing shot took so much. So hopefully you followed along with that, and now we'll give you a demonstration of what the hell I just said. So it's piercing, bursting, barrage, land your explosive, not barrage, sorry, it's binding shot. Land your explosive here because they're held. Then into barrage, then into black arrow. So let's go. Run up, piercing, bursting shot, land your binding. Now you're going to land the explosive shot. There it is. Into barrage. Black arrow. Arcane's procced. Mark shot's procced. Arcane, arcane, arcane. And that's it. Now it's just, you got nothing on off cooldown. So it's just arcane or mark shot when it's up. And that's pretty much the thing. The general playstyle of the Hunter. Now look, black arrow's up, so that's a priority to get off. Arcane. Barrage is up, so we're going to use that. And now you're free to use piercing shot whenever you want again, or explosive shot's back up, so you can set up again nearly for another kill. I'll just wait for binding shot, 45-second cooldown. So every 45 seconds you can pretty much try and land a kills at Hunter. That's pretty sustained but bursty damage. So I think that's really exciting, and makes pretty fun. Now the interesting thing you might notice, and we'll just quickly cover before you know, we go on to the macros, is that aim shot is not on my bar. Now this is a really strange thing for me last night, and I was so stumped on it. This is why I tested for 2 hours. Because you would think, for an ability that you have to stand still, dumps nearly half of your focus, takes 2 seconds to cast, that you'd be rewarded with a massive hit. But you don't. You do 12k physical damage, but in that time, you can get off, you know, 3 arcane shots. Let alone if mark shot procs and you do like 14k damage. But you can get off 3 arcane shots that do 5.6k damage each, that generate focus, not spend it. They're instant, you can use them when they're moving, while aim shot does 12k damage and you have to stand still and it takes focus and you have to cast it. Like, I don't understand with that. And yes, I did test it with Patient Sniper, the extra damage. It just doesn't match it. And in an arena setup, being able to move and hit arcane and mark shots is just so much more of an advantage to than rather than trying to stand still and load up an arcane. But we will have sniper shot when, because this is probably going to be it's going to be the best to spec into. So we will have sniper shot in Legion. The general rotation of everything we do here is going to be the same. I've kind of gone over everything. You just have more abilities. You can have one more CC, one more big sniper shot you can load up, you know, a debuff, and a dodge, and just extra damage. So literally your rotation, everything I'm showing you now, is going to be the same for when Legion drops. I can pretty much firmly say, I can't see why unless something gets patched. But you're just going to add sniper shot in. But yeah, aim shot, don't even put it on your bar in my opinion, because mark shot and aim shot, mark shot and arcane shot is just going to beat it in damage really, which is kind of silly. But there you go. That is the Hunter playstyle, and I hope I went into enough detail with that. So now let's talk about the macros, and that's going to wrap the video up. So because we're running the pet, you can also, I'm going to mention here, this is a pro tip. If you get a certain pet, I think it's the bird, right? One of the birds. Not, I don't think this one does it. We'll have a look. It can put a debuff on them that gives them 25% reduced damage. No, this pet's no good. Do not get this one. My human hunter has it, where it reduces their healing. So that is a must-have. I'll put that in the description of what pet it is exactly. I know it's one of the birds. But because you have the pet out, you need your Roar of Sacrifice. So I'm going to put the macros in the description. Cast target equals U. Roar of Sacrifice. So you're going to want that on your hotbar like this. If he's in line of sight of with you, you can just hit mine's Shift E. Bang. Now I cannot be immune to critical strikes, but damage transferred to the hunter's pet for 10 seconds. So if you pop that and you know you're going to take a lot of damage, put on a men pet just to top your pet's healing up so he doesn't die on you, because that would be a pain. Then you're going to have sack partner party 1 and sack party 2 if you're running 3s. If you're running 5s, obviously you're going to have another 2 of them, but that's one macro. Another one you want, because we have a counter shot, is a silenced counter shot, or a focus counter shot. So that is not even set up properly. This one is meant to be target equals focus counter shot. So I'll post this in the description below, but that's going to have it so you can manage 2 people. So I'm going to set this guy as my focus target. As you can see here, I can now watch what he's doing. I'll lock that. But if I have this guy targeted, this guy could be casting a polymorph. It could be a mage. Mage landing a poly can be really bad news in arena. So if I see him quickly getting he might have a haste buff on or something, and he's going to land a poly really quick, but I'm hitting this guy and doing damage to this guy, you're not going to have time to target him, go, oh shit, kick him, then go back to this guy and keep hitting him. I mean, you probably could, but it's very non-fluent. So you need to have this guy focused, and what you can do is 3, 2, 1. You watch him over here casting on his above his unit frame, casting polymorph. You don't even have to be looking at him, and you can see polymorph and go, oh shit, jump around, bang. Did you see that? Kicked him, instant. Didn't even have to look at him. I mean, you have to look at him, but didn't have to target him. I mean, so your silence kick, so your focused counter shot, very, very important. Your party member sacrificial, your Roar of Sacrifice, very important. And another one I have is just Feigned Death, that just has a stop casting line in there. Just because if I was, where is it? If I was to, I'll just post it in the description. It's a fairly simple one. If I was casting Barrage, let's say this, bang, need to feign, I can do it instant if something bad was about to hit me. You're going to obviously lose the damage of Barrage and kind of waste the 20-second cooldown. But sometimes it's worthwhile, you know, dodging an ability rather than getting damage out. Obviously, actually, sometimes it's very important you dodge the ability rather than get damage out. It's a priority to dodge the ability. So there's 3 macros, and that's actually all you're going to need. I'm pretty sure. Let's have a quick look, run through. We don't have a deterrence anymore. You could have a stop casting cast aspect of the turtle, but that'd be the only other one I would recommend. For PvE, you might want to misdirect one, but you're not going to need that for arena, I don't think. But that is going to end a fairly in-depth Hunter guide. I hope I went into enough detail for you or didn't bore you. You know, it's hard to get the right mixture of trying to get the details out well enough and quick enough. But that is a class. It's pretty interesting to see. I've seen a lot of different people trying Hunter, but last night I really just sat down. I have a page full of just testing of different stuff and come up with, like I said, 2 builds. This one is what I think is the absolute best for arena and just PvP in general, like battlegrounds, dueling. But I have another solid PvE setup, so be sure to check out. If you're checking this video out like a week after it come out or even later, check out my PvE one too. But that's going to wrap the video up, guys. Thanks heaps for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.